Hey, what's up guys? Joker here, and I hope you all had a good weekend. Today we've got a few news stories to get through in the world of tech and gaming. First, we're going to be talking about Nvidia's updated driver, which added in support for DXR on Pascal graphics cards. Also, AMD's SoC for the upcoming consoles has been possibly leaked over on a benchmark database. And we've also got a couple of new game trailers, including the new Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That's the name. So we're going to get into all of that. But first, I want to talk about Nvidia and this DXR patch, which has been introduced, which adds in support for the Pascal graphics cards. I have done a little bit of testing with it myself, and there's also been some other news outlets out there. Digital Foundry did a really good video on it showing some of the comparisons, and Guru 3D, which we're going to just use some of their numbers here just for comparison in this news video, just to kind of just discuss it, because the performance is all basically what we expected. It runs like a bag of wet dog shit, so really what I want to kind of talk about here, more so than just the actual performance, is the motivation behind why Nvidia would release this technology onto the previous graphics cards when it was touted as this big thing for RTX cards, although we all know now that that was nothing more than a sham, a scam if you would. So yeah, they've added in support of the previous cards, and it runs absolutely awful. And you have to wonder, why would they do that? Would Nvidia do that just out of the kindness of their hearts, that they want to make sure as many people as possible can run ray tracing? No, I kind of would take a little bit more of the pessimistic approach to that and say that they are doing this to sell more touring cards because they are not selling enough of them. People are saying, oh, I'll just go out and buy a used 1080 or used 1080 Ti or whatever, and I'll be able to get the equivalent performance of one of the touring cards. And, you know, seeing something like the 1080 Ti, which you would really need to compare to something as low as the 2060 when it comes to ray tracing, just ray tracing stuff, not traditional rasterization performance, but with ray tracing, that's really its closest competitor, and it's still a very far way behind something like the RTX 2060. So taking a look over on guru3d.com, they've got a couple of graphs here we can quickly take a look at. The first is with ray trace reflections on Battlefield 5 running at 1440p with Ultra DXR, and you could see that the GTX 1080 Ti averaged 30 frames per second. So abysmal. You basically would need to use a $700 card at 1080p to even get anything close to a respectable frame rate in this game with DXR. And then the RTX 2060 was averaging around 44 FPS, so still not great. With either one of those cards, ideally, you would definitely want to drop down the DXR setting to medium or low to get anywhere close to a frame rate around 60 FPS. Looking at the Shadows benchmark in Shadows of the Tomb Raider with 1440p and high DXR, again, we see the 1080 Ti getting a measly 34 FPS and the 2060 getting 44 FPS. So no doubt about it, ray tracing is extremely taxing, and if you really do want to utilize it at higher settings, you're looking at somewhere around the 2080 to the 2080 Ti. And, you know, in my opinion, the 2080 Ti is really the only card even worth considering in the touring lineup. I don't know why you would buy any of the other cards when there are literally a Pascal card that can do the exact same rasterization performance, unless you want to take advantage of ray tracing. And Nvidia knows that, and that is why they are doing this. They want to sell more touring graphics cards. The idea being that if you are running a Pascal card, and now you get this driver update which lets you take advantage of ray tracing, it'll let you load up your games, you can run around in them, but your frame rate is going to be in the absolute toilet. But you'll be able to see how pretty the ray tracing is. Everything will look really good, and you're instantly going to have that feeling of, oh my god, now I need to upgrade. That is the only reason that they are releasing this. In my personal opinion, that is why they are releasing this onto Pascal cards, is so that people feel bad about still running Pascal cards or considering picking up a used Pascal card because they want to take advantage of all of the highest ultra features that are out there. And now it's more than just, oh, watching a video or reading an article online. It's actually in the game. And for people that want to be able to just turn everything up, and now they have this option that they can't turn up, which is not going to be everyone. Most of you out there probably don't even give a shit about ray tracing. But for some people that do, and are maybe running a 1080 Ti, something like that, and they, go ahead and turn on ray tracing, and now all of a sudden Battlefield 5 runs like ass, some of them are, at least Nvidia's hoping, will go out and pick up touring graphics cards, which are running considerably better using ray tracing, as you would expect that they would. And not only that, even for something like the 2060, obviously then you could also utilize something like DLSS in these games, in Battlefield 5 and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and that frame rate would increase significantly. In some cases, anywhere between 50 to 80% higher, depending on resolution and the game and the card and all that stuff. But yeah, with the RTX cards, you would at least have DLSS you could take advantage of. With the Pascal cards, you still can't use that. So I just really think this whole, this good guy thing of releasing this driver to allow Pascal cards to use it has a much more devious motive behind it to sell more touring cards, which not enough people are buying right now. Next up, AMD's new SoC, at least a second version of it, has been spotted on a benchmark database, which can give us a few little tidbits of information. Now, one of these SoCs was actually spotted earlier this year, back in January. The SoC, which is being codenamed as Gonzalo, was spotted in January and showed some not too significant specs. From the code name, you could tell that it was running an 8-core CPU. It had a base clock of 1 gigahertz, and it would boost up to 3.2 gigahertz, and it was running a 1 gigahertz Navi 10 Lite graphics processor integrated into the chip, because it's an SoC. It's an entire system on chip. It's not like a separate CPU and GPU. It's all integrated on there. Now, there has been another benchmark spotted on that same database now, which actually shows a little bit better of a spec, and also based on the code name, we could tell that this is a little bit further along in the production if you break down NVIDIA's code names, which is very easy to do. There's a few tables out there that you can look up online easily to be able to figure out what all these numbers and letters on here mean. But basically, with the new changes to this, we could see that it is further along in the process, and also that the base clock on the CPU has been bumped up from 1 gigahertz to 1.6 gigahertz, so that is definitely better. And also the PCID on the qualification sample has been upgraded, so it looks like this could possibly be a different variant of the Navi 10 GPU. So that appears to be what we're looking at here right now, and although we don't know all the performance and everything like that on Navi, based on the specs that we have here right now, it does look like AMD is developing a very capable SoC for the upcoming generation of consoles. And based on rumors that we've heard so far, it sounds like both Microsoft and Sony will be using AMD SoCs, but they could be different variants of CPU and GPUs in their consoles, so we could still see drastically different performance in each one of them depending on what Sony and Microsoft is looking for. So these could just be different console GPUs here, because they are slightly different. So there's a couple of questions we still have unanswered, but the one thing for sure is that just based on the specs we have right now, I think that the next generation of consoles are going to be pretty darn powerful, at least for, what is probably going to be a $500 console, I would have to assume, at least at launch, and they might have some more expensive variants as well with more hard drive space and things like that when the systems actually do release. And yeah, don't know when those are going to be, but I am looking forward to Sony's next console for sure. Next up, we have the first ever trailer for Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen Order. This is a game being made by Respawn and published by EA, unfortunately. EA, nobody likes EA at all. We haven't liked them for a long time. They're pretty much the most evil company in the world. And yeah, they're awful. They microtransaction riddled games, just ruining shit all the time, and they have not done us justice with the Star Wars license so far since they have taken control of it just a few years ago, with the Battlefront games and everything like that. But this is meant to be EA's kind of turning over a new leaf, because they have been going so much after the multiplayer side of things to have the games as a live service, but this is going to be a strictly single-player only game, and they've also promised no microtransactions, no loot boxes, and also that they will not add them in post-launch. So that's all good things, but I'm not going to go out here on the fucking hype train and start hyping up EA because now they're good guy EA just because they're going to do it this one time. Let's see the game actually come out. Let's see if the game is good, and then you can get some praise, and also continuing to do that in future games and proving that you can be trustworthy with a multiplayer title. You can utilize microtransactions and things and do them in a reasonable and good way. I'm not completely against all microtransactions. It's just the predatory nature of the way that some of them are implemented. A lot of them are implemented, in fact, and EA has been one of the worst when it comes to that. So hopefully Jedi Fallen Order ends up being a good single-player game. I would love to have a good Star Wars game finally. Respawn is a very capable developer. They did Apex Legends recently, which is really good. A lot of people like it. Not really my kind of game, but I recognize, how polished it is versus some other Battle Royale games out there, and things like that. The communication system seems very promising and something I would love to see in more multiplayer games. And also Titanfall, which has also been pretty good. Again, not really my type of game, but they were pretty much well praised, and Titanfall 2 was meant to be a massive upgrade over the first one. So I'm looking forward to this. This is kind of like, to me, this is like what I was waiting for with Star Wars 1313, and I'm hoping to kind of see this and just hopefully it's really good. I would love nothing more than for EA to surprise all of us, myself included, and put out a really good single-player game. So please, just do it, EA. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. I think we all would, even though we don't really trust you right now. Next up, this is a game I wanted to talk about quickly. This is called The Sinking City, which is from Frogware. If you are not familiar with Frogware, they are the developers of some of the Sherlock Holmes games, which have come out over the past like 5 to 7 years or so. Some of them were on the Xbox 360. I believe there might have been one on the current gen consoles as well. They're all on the PC, and they were actually very good games. I enjoyed them a lot. If you enjoy sort of like murder mystery investigation side of stuff, kind of like LA Noire, but then there's like a lot of character interactions and decision making and looking through clues and things. I really did enjoy those games a lot. And this looks to be a lot more of the same. So it's going to be a mystery where you're investigating things. And the graphics look good. The animations look a lot better than what they had in the Sherlock Holmes games, which were a little bit clunky and stiff at times. But usually the story and just the investigation kind of stuff really kind of saved those games. But this is actually looking like a really good game, and I for one am really looking forward to it. So I just wanted to kind of share this with you as a passion for the game, a game that I'm interested in, because this might not be on a lot of your guys' radar. But if you're into the kind of things I just mentioned with the investigation side of stuff, think of LA Noire, kind of like that. If you're into that and you enjoy that type of gameplay, adventure type of stuff, then you might enjoy The Sinking City. The gameplay I'm showing you right now is from Game Informer. They did like a 20-minute gameplay video, I think, or 15 minutes. Yeah, 15-minute gameplay video. So I'll leave a link down below to all the sources, as well as this video here if you want to go ahead and check out the full gameplay and see if it's something that you might be interested in. But I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, guys. I hope you do enjoy the rest of your day, and please leave me your thoughts, comments, opinions on everything down in the comments below. I do love reading those and interacting with you guys down there after the videos have already gone live. If you enjoyed this one or learned something new, leave a thumbs up on it, subscribe if you're not already, ring the notification bell if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time. Ta-ra.